Bangalore or Delhi, you are complaining every day your commuting was taking 1.5 to 2 hours of circus through the traffic. Now you're spared all that, so don't go on complaining endlessly. There is no need to complain, only our lifestyle is changing. Our life we must protect with responsible and conscious behavior. Nothing about our life has changed, only our lifestyle is changing. But if you're misunderstanding your lifestyle as life, then of course you will suffer. So let us bring this sense to ourselves. What you wear, what you drive, where you live is not the point. How you live within yourself is the point. And right now, this pandemic, always this is the point, but this pandemic is bringing it up front, in front of everybody, to decide whether your life is important or your lifestyle is important. Lifestyle becomes important because we keep on living in comparison to somebody else, that you want to live little better than somebody else, you want to have more than somebody else, you want to be better in every way than somebody else around you. Let's leave this silly way of existence. Let's organize our lives in such a way that you're joyful, you're well, you're healthy, your family is joyful, people around you are joyful and well. This is life. Do not make a problem out of just a simple shift in lifestyle. But staying alive is important because life is precious. Lifestyle is not precious, life is precious. This shift in your fundamental understanding of what is life and what is lifestyle has to happen. If you do this, a whole lot of unnecessary stress you're building in your mind will come down significantly. Because you're not going to restaurants, it's blocked, you're not traveling, it is blocked, well, your expenses have come down. Even if you earn less, it's not really a problem. Your only problem is somebody else may be living better than you. That should not be an issue for you. Better life is not in the makeup that you wear, better life is not in the clothes that you wear, better life is not in the car that you drive. Better life is in the way you are within yourself. If this fundamental priority you change, not for the sake of pandemic, for your sake, not for the sake of the virus, for your own sake, if you make this shift, you will see there are a few issues and problems with the pandemic. The problem is people are losing their lives, that is the only problem. Otherwise, this is not a problem. Unfortunately, people are losing their lives because no nation can be equipped to provide hospitalization for its entire population or a major segment of the population. So, the important thing is, one way or the other, we may get an infection. The important thing is to postpone it as much as we can. So this is why the vaccination drive is very, very important. Vaccination is not an ultimate solution, but vaccination pushes the problem. By pushing the problem, we will not overwhelm the medical institutions and medical infrastructure. With this, fatalities can be brought down significantly, people need not lose their lives. But the fundamental responsibility that all of you must take is, you must take this commitment. I will not get infected. Everything that I have to do for this, I will do. But if it so happens somehow I got infected, I will ensure that it does not go to one more person. This must
be an immense calamity that has befallen humankind during our generation. However, this is not the first time that pandemics have swept the globe. There have been even bigger pandemics in the past. However, the human spirit is so strong that we have survived these and in fact come out the better from facing them. The first duty is we need to be united. The bravado of some youth that coronavirus will do nothing to us will not do, because the youth have the greatest possibility of being asymptomatic carriers of this disease. An asymptomatic carrier is one who doesn't display the symptoms for himself or herself, but has the virus within. So if we become the cause of infecting others, it's ultimately going to affect the entire world and come back to us. I am reminded of the story of the corn farmer. He had such wonderful corn growing in his field that he would, for many years in succession, win the national corn growing competition. When journalists came to interview him, they were surprised to hear that he used to share his prized corn seed with the neighboring farmers. How can you do that? They asked. These are the corn seeds with the help of which you win the national competition. He said, it is the pollen from the neighboring fields that flies over and comes to pollinate my corn as well. If the neighbors have got less than superior corn, it's going to affect the cultivation on my field. Therefore, it is in my interest to ensure that they grow the best corn. In the same way, as citizens of this one planet Earth, we have our global duty to fight this calamity united. The second duty and responsibility is as citizens of a nation, and the governments of each nation are trying their best to handle this calamity. It is our national duty to fulfill the regulations and follow the rules that are laid down by our respective governments. This is not the time for unnecessary criticism of government policies. This is a warlike situation where we must all realize the importance of adhering to the national regulations. At the same time, there are those amongst us who are undertaking great risks to keep up the essential services. This includes the medics, those who handle things like electric power, water, essential commodities, etc. We must realize that they are taking great risks. They are the heroes of today. So we support them, we express our heartfelt appreciation to the risks that they are taking. So this is our duty as citizens of nations. And then the third is our duty as individuals to ourselves. And that is to be strong. Tough times do not last, but tough people do. I heard the story of the celestial sage Narad. One village had been affected by the epidemic of cholera. So when cholera swept through this village, Narad happened to come by, and cholera personified was emerging from the village. Narad met cholera personified and said, "How many people did you kill here?" Cholera said, "I killed 35 people." Narad said, "But according to the news, 119 have died." Cholera said, "I was responsible for 35 deaths. And the governments of countries are doing a great job in informing us of the do's and don'ts that are required to protect ourselves. Nevertheless, to repeat a few of these, this is an airborne virus, which means that it gets emitted with the breath of a patient, and it is carried by the globules in the air to the next person. And that is why social distancing is very important. The second, if these viruses fall on other material, the virus remains there alive for a certain period of time. That is why we are given the instruction of washing our hands regularly, definitely before eating, but often through the day for at least 20 seconds. Apart from that, let's all try and build up our bodily immunity. We are all aware of various ways to enhance our immunity. So the first tip is to regularly take citrus fruits. From my own experience, I have discovered that citrus fruits, the intake of vitamin C definitely enhances our bodily immunity. So Indians are well aware of the amla as well. The amla has the vitamin C of at least 10 oranges. An amla a day would do tremendous help in building your immunity. Apart from that, we must also take our daily dose of antioxidants. They are also extremely beneficial in keeping our bodily immunity up. Amla is also very rich in antioxidants, and so are the dark colored fruits. In particular, in the North American subcontinent, blueberry is a rich source of antioxidants. The traditional ginger and turmeric are also extremely beneficial in building up and maintaining our bodily immunity. Apart from that, we have all come in touch with the benefits of pranayama. So pranayama is a natural way of filling up your body, of receiving the antioxidants from the air itself. Besides that, let us ensure that we keep stress out from our minds. When the mind is stressed, the bodily immunity reduces, thereby making us more vulnerable. So in a situation like this, let us ensure that we remain relaxed. In order to do that, do continue with your spiritual practice, with your
When we are forced to work from home and stay away from social gatherings, celebrations, and festivals, how do we keep ourselves in a positive frame of mind? How do we ensure that we don't run into depression?
Yes, this is definitely a tremendous adversity that we are all finding ourselves in. So at a time when we are facing a situation that could be more repercussive than the two world wars, it is natural that we are all at our wits' end how to handle the situation. Adversity challenges us, and when we exert our physical, mental, intellectual, spiritual abilities to handle and face the challenge that is in front of us, we find that we grow from within. Let us look at the positive side of this situation and let us see how we can grow from facing this. All our life, we have prioritized doing. I need to do this. I need to accomplish this. In other words, we have spent years and years, the best part of our life, in doing. But if we think back and introspect, how much did we prioritize being? In other words, to what extent did we in our lives focus on trying to be better people? The fact is, what will matter at the end of our life, what will give us the maximum satisfaction, is how good we were able to become as human beings. So, this adversity, which has forced us to stop our running around on the outside, has provided us with a window of opportunity to turn deep within ourselves, to look at our priorities and to focus on the most important task on life, which is growing from within. History informs us pandemics swept the world. There was the Asian flu in 1957 that started from Eastern Asia and then spread through the world. There was the Spanish flu in 1918 that swept the entire globe. There was the bubonic plague in 1855 that even reached Bengal in India from elsewhere. There was the Great Plague of London in 1655. There was the plague called Black Death in 1350 AD. These were huge pandemics, but ultimately they were all put behind. In other words, we survived all of them. So we are going to live through this. And this little time when we have changed our lifestyles and our works, many of us are working from home. Let us utilize this opportunity to grow from within. Because the basis and foundation of external success is actually our inner character, integrity, well-being, and divinity. The Tower of Calgary in Canada is an immense structure that goes high up into the sky. It's a steel tower that weighs 11,000 tons. The interesting thing is that 60% of the weight of that tower is under the ground. The foundation is so huge, but that conveys a message to all of us. The foundation of our external achievements is always the inner quality within ourselves. So while we kept on running on the outside all our lives, let us utilize the present time to make it our foremost priority to equip ourselves with the inner qualities that will make us proud in future, that will provide us with the potential to go forward. It's like a bow and the arrow. You pull the arrow back as far as you can, so that finally when it is released, it shoots forth to the maximum extent. This is the time to pull your bows back, to build your inner potential, to focus on manifesting the divinity within yourself, so that finally when this pandemic is over, we can achieve even more on the outside. We can do even more good to the others, and we can serve God and humankind in an even more significant and remarkable manner. So that is the way to take advantage of the opportunity that this situation of adversity. Scriptures have always instructed us that though you are the soul, you are encased in a body. The body is like a vehicle, and that vehicle must be maintained even for the practice of spirituality. Shariram madhyam Khalu dharma sadhanam. Even for the practice of dharma, the body is the means, the instrument. And that is why if a spiritualist says, I am the soul, I do not need to bother about the body, that is faulty thinking. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has emphasized this. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. He says, O Arjun, if you give up eating or if you eat too much, you cannot attain success in yoga. If you sleep too much or if you sleep too little, again you will not be successful in yoga. If you work too hard or become too lazy, you will not be able to reach the ultimate goal. So the principles by which this body functions must be maintained. The body is material. It adheres to the rules of material nature. God has given us this material body. It is our responsibility to understand how the body functions and to take care of it. So to take care of the material body, we need to take the help of material science. If any spiritualist says material science is unnecessary, spirituality by itself is enough, that thinking is defective. On the other hand, if a materialist says that spirituality is a waste of time and in science we have the cure for all the problems that humankind is facing, that thinking is also defective. Because ultimately the soul is endowed with a mind and an intellect. And this mind and intellect, how do we harness them? How do we manage and control them and utilize them to manifest the divinity of the soul within? That will require the help.
Last year, the planet saw so much of unrest. It started in Chile, then it was in Argentina, then it was in Colombia, Venezuela, all of South America. Then there were demonstrations almost in every part of the world. There was in the Middle East, in Iran, then in India, and also in the Hong Kong for a long time. Now, there was so much unrest, a particular period of 8-9 months. There was agitation everywhere. But now, with this corona coming up, it has in some way united people of the whole globe. Nature has really taken a stick to tell people, don't forget your human nature. Stop fighting with each other. Come together in a sense of cooperation and compassion. And this is the lesson I think nature has taught us through this epidemic. Let us take only the positive things and move on. Otherwise, we will sit and sulk and feel a doomsday is coming up and all sorts of ideas which will press the panic button in us. We shall not encourage such things. This is a cleansing that is happening of the mind and heart and soul of our society, of our people. Let us all follow the laws, follow the rules meticulously, keep social distancing, fight with the virus, and help the daily wage people. It's the daily wage people are the most hit. I would suggest everyone, those who can, gather in your own areas food packets that would suffice for a week and give it to the daily wage people who live hand to mouth. Art of Living has taken up this big initiative. We are starting this in Mumbai from tomorrow. about 10,000 people, daily wage workers will be supplied with their 1 week supplies. So I would encourage every NGO and other communities, and we will also be there. Our volunteers will also be there. Let's all do this together.